as I've really tried to understand carnivore and cancer and what diets are better or, worse, I came across Bruce, and Bruce has actually melanoma, and he's been utilizing a carnivore diet for a while. And his story is really interesting as he goes the traditional route, also with doing things on his end to overcome the disease. Bruce, thank you for taking the time to join. I think that your story is something that we really need to, be able to dive into and understand, because it's so relatable. And so I came across you through Facebook as I was going into trying to have a connection around the diet and nutrition and cancer, specifically in regards to carnivore and cancer. Who's using it? Who has used it? Is it the keto? What's going on? And so I wanted to get with you and visit on your story of melanoma and utilizing your methods that you're following in going through that treatment. So if you don't care, where do you live, and how did you come to, hey, I have something very significant we've got to deal with?
So I'm in Flagler Beach, Florida. I've been in Florida for the past 20 or so years, originally from Georgia, and been carnivore, keto, primarily carnivore since 2019. It was in the fall of 2019 that I got a new primary care physician, and I was dealing with blood lipids. Many people that go into this way of eating have to have a fight with their doctor regarding their LDL cholesterol being high. So I saw that as an opportunity to challenge him with that, and I asked for a coronary calcium scan. He did. He obliged me, and I went and had that done, and I got the results back, and I scored a 65 on it, which is under 100. I was 65 at the time, age 65, and but the radiologist noted a possible, I think the word was a lytic lesion on my T11 vertebrae. Said it could be a hemangioma. Go get it checked out. So I did a series of, I think the next one was a CT scan and maybe an MRI with and without contrast. Mind you, that's going over months, say from the end of November to end of February, to when I finally got a biopsy. Oh, by the way, the last scan I had was a PET scan, and it barely lit up. To the point, it was inconclusive. They said, yeah, maybe something's there, maybe not. And the neurosurgeon I went to, as a matter of fact, said, come back in 90 days and we'll reevaluate. I left the office, and I no sooner left the office than he got on the phone with an interventional radiologist, and they saw something as they went slice by slice through the imaging, and they thought maybe go ahead and do a biopsy. So they did, and it was malignant melanoma. My point with that is that looking back at it, I had been carnivore for around 4 years, and I really sincerely think that it was in the process of shrinking. Who knows? We all have cancer in us, and for me to have stage 4 cancer with only one lesion is pretty much unheard of in the community. Yeah. Typically it goes to liver, brain. When the biopsy came back positive for melanoma, they immediately sent me in for a brain biopsy and a brain MRI, and that was clear. And so just one lesion, and a very faint one at that. So it was, of course, startling. First of all, I'd been doing the dermatologist thing for over 20 years because this, they say there's supposed to be a skin source for melanoma metastasis. And I did have one 22 years prior on the same area of my back, but from what I understand, it's not really, it doesn't have to be in the same location on the body to the inside. But that's all I could come up with. And I think on the diagnosis paperwork, it says the skin source unknown. But it was a little startling. I happened to go see good Dr. Sivas. He's down here in Florida. We met him at one of the conferences we go to, and have been doing regular 6-month visits with him with blood work. And the man's a genius, and I just love to sit at his feet and hear what he has to say. But he was in on the original paperwork. He wanted me to keep him up to date. And when I shared with him the biopsy results, he said, go to MD Anderson or Sloan Kettering. Well, I decided to check out MD Anderson, and I filled out an online form to get for an appointment. They called me the next day, and I was there. I had an appointment in less than 2 weeks to go see him. In the meantime, I checked with the local cancer clinic to see what they had. Seems like immune therapy is the way to go, and then coupled with radiation treatment. I didn't do anything with the local one because MD Anderson was able to get me so soon, and they had a different treatment protocol of a new. At that time, it was about a year, a new immunotherapy, and it would be go there once a month for treatments. I had the time to do it and was able to afford it. And I call it a one and done radiation treatment, where they just focused it all on that one area and blasted me. That so far, that has been the biggest side effect for me, is that as I'm saying, I can feel I've got some neuropathy around my side, and a little bit of inflammation coming from that, but it's no big deal. 3 months into my treatments, so I started in April. In July, I had my first set of scans, and it showed stabilized. Mind you, I was doing. I tweaked my diet with carnivore and red, and found out later that I was kind of doing the right thing. I didn't eat as much protein as I was, and I increased the fat. 2 things with that was. Getting into a more therapeutic level of ketosis, as Dr. Seyfried speaks of, and another Miriam Kalamian, whose book is it Keto for Cancer? I believe that's it, speaks to lessening the glutamine, which is an essential amino acid that cancer can feed on. And so restricting that to minimal levels, they say a gram per pound of lean muscle mass, and I'm about 75, 80 pounds of muscle mass as per my body scan I'd done at a convention, KetoCon, there in Austin. So I did that, up the fat, stayed in therapeutic ketosis, and even fasted around my infusion dates. I do 24 hours before, 24 hours after, and it felt good for me. I did. I had no side effects to speak of, and that's the other thing I notice in the melanoma community, is that people are just riddled. Colitis is like the big thing, and then skin. Pick an autoimmune issue, and they likely had it. My takeaway is that I had my metabolic house in order before my diagnosis even came
Yeah.
through. And so I was able to skate through. I shared with you in our back and forth, I think yesterday. The big thing was the vitiligo I got, which my um, my T cells are attacking my melanocytes. I'm not convinced that it's a permanent condition, and I'm doing what research I can to find out how to reverse that. It's just me and my biohacking. It's not a big bother for me, but it's just something else for me to work on. It's another project
Sure.
for me, which is how I've been treating this cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Bruce, what was the conversations like around diet or nutrition, lifestyle with the oncologist, with the radiologist? Were they supportive? Did they say it didn't matter? Were they against it?
Thank you for asking, because I every appointment I shared what I was doing, and uh, they were basically ambivalent, might be strong, but they kind of were. They were reciting the high fiber. Um, they stressed high fiber. Didn't really matter what it was. Didn't want to go into, and I didn't push them for that. I was there. I was there for them to do what their expertise is, and I wasn't going to be, sit back and just take that. I was going to. All things that I read were saying that as an adjuvant to treatment, a therapeutic ketogenic diet is proven to uh, have positive outcomes in cancer treatment. So I was doing that, but Logan, I shared not so much to get their approval, but just to keep planting seeds, hoping that other people in that same situation would share, um,
Yeah.
and maybe after a certain number of times they might kind of get it and understand. So, yeah, I'm sharing that. I'm currently fasting, which is tough because on the short trips to Houston with just my infusion, we didn't go out and enjoy the barbecue and the steak restaurants so much. The 3 month ones, uh, uh, 3 month scans where I've got an extended, like, it's almost a week. I could go out and enjoy it that way, but they didn't push back. It was kind of do what you want, and I appreciate that. And for instance, my I was having some, like, skin, a little skin issue on my scalp, and I was seeing the PA for that visit, and she said, "Well, what are you using on it?" And I kind of looked side-eyed over at Buzz, who was in the room with me, and I looked at her and I said, "I've got a great beef tallow product I'm using." And she says, "That's terrific." She says, "I'm a West Texas girl. I totally understand that." So it was good getting that confirmation from her. But I let the doctors kind of stay in their lane, and I'm going along with it, with what they have to offer, and doing what I can to keep my other systems up and running with the diet I'm eating.
Absolutely. It's a very tricky thing to navigate and juggle, just trying to be, an advocate for yourself, or in my situation, my son, and letting them do what they're supposed to do, and not being, a pain and making things worse, right? Cause like it's a team, and absolutely
Thank
nobody
you.
has all the answers.
Yeah.
And Bruce, early on when Lander was diagnosed, I said, the doctors are going to do their part, and God's going to do His, and I'm going to do mine. We're going to figure out what can we apply and make it work together. And so that's one thing that I've really struggled with, questioning the conventional route with Lander having surgery, chemo, radiation. He had all the
Yeah.
standard treatments, but we also changed that diet. We did do a lot of supplements, and we worked with the doctors for the most part. They actually didn't discourage me as much as some of the other stories that I have heard, for whatever reason. So two questions I've got, Bruce, for you is why stick to your guns on carnivore, and did you incorporate any sort of supplements or adjunctive alternative type modalities?
Okay, carnivore was working so great for me, and in other areas, I was 40 pounds heavier. Wasn't on any medicines, but A1C was probably in the high fives. I didn't have it tested then with my doctor. Now I'm like 5.1 A1C. I mean, all the other markers were showing positive. So why would I change that? And I, like I said, I firmly believe that things were the tumor, the lesion was likely shrinking, and I wouldn't have known about it. So, and I read that as an adjuvant to conventional treatment, it's a wonderful 1-2 punch with the press pulse therapy. So I had that going with me, and I got it confirmed more. I went to the Low Carb USA event in San Diego. That was my second time there, and they had a whole segment module on cancer, and it was just mind-blowing. That's where I met Nasha Winters and got to know her, and Miriam Kalamian, and Dr. Boz, and it's so much of it fit that I couldn't not discontinue it. So it was working. Why change it? I'm sorry, what was the second question you?
Yeah. Did you incorporate supplements or modalities?
Yeah. So no, I was watching vitamin D because there's a lot of evidence that low vitamin D can be an issue in all aspects. And by the way, so I was doing that, magnesium, some of the basic stuff. I will say that last fall, I went to the rabbit hole of red light therapy and methylene blue, and understand that mitochondrial health is paramount in all systems in the body. If we don't have it, things start to fall apart. I was doing methylene blue, and the science behind it is fascinating. However, and I'm in the middle of not doing any now, and I backed off. I was getting some interesting, I think, side effects from it, with some random, like, not muscle twitches. It's like they get stimulated in just weird areas. It's like twitch. So I'm off of that, and I have no idea what it is, and I haven't gone to look and see what it is. But I'm definitely doing red light, and I'm thinking that's beneficial, and I'm learning more and more that light seems to be a variable that gets left out in our overall health. I'm here in Florida. I go out and I get sun. Since I've been carnivore, I don't burn. It's really strange. With the vitiligo, I get a little pinkness in those areas without pigment, but it still doesn't burn. So that's about it for supplements. I'm not, the magnesium, the vitamin D, D3K2. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, awesome. So the melanin vitiligo has been something I've been just kind of obsessed with. And it goes back to the work of Jack Cruz that I have, I've sent you. We've talked about it a little bit. When we understand what you hit on with the mitochondria all of this really starts coming together. And the way in which the mitochondria produce energy based off of light, hydrogen, the electron transport chain, it also throws in another component that I think is vitally important that we have got to do a better job of understanding or sharing, and that's around deuterium. I think that's a massive, massive aspect, which the light that you're talking about will help. The sweating, the carnivore diet is a low deuterium diet. When I spoke to Dr. Ken Berry, he said, you know what, the whole deuterium aspect that, he said, I've listened to everything that Dr. Laszlo Boros has said, and carnivore may work because it's a low deuterium diet. And so the cancer connection on deuterium is massive. And you, Bruce, honestly are doing so much to deplete deuterium. It is incredible. And I'm so curious if this is one of the biggest reasons that you are having success around that topic. So what about the light are you finding, say sunlight, with melanoma? Do you think there is a connection? Do you think the sunlight causes cancer? Where are you in your process of that topic?
Listen, Logan, I tell you what, I have to kind of keep my lips tight when, actually my fingers tight in some of these melanoma groups. They are so fearful of the sun. And so my contention is, it's like the sun's been with us since we've been around. And why all of a sudden is it a big issue? And my belief is that something's been done on a cellular level to us that causes cells to mutate. In this case, the skin cells to mutate, and I sincerely believe it is the excess linoleic oil in our diet, which probably oxidized already when we consume it. The cells need fat as a critical component in their structures, and they're left with these inferior materials. It's like, okay, this is what we got to use to build with. Things come tumbling down when exposed to the elements. Yeah. So there's too many people that share how they don't get sun damage anymore once they change up their diet and get that stuff out of their bodies. So I think that's where it happened, was on the cellular level, the oxidized fats from the oxidized seed oil fats, linoleic acid, just start falling down, and the body can't keep up with it.
Yeah, I think the linoleic acid is obviously a contributor to this. I don't think there's much of a question when it comes to all that, but I think the underlying thing, and I have not been a fly on the wall in the melanoma groups as much as I have a lot of other things, but the thing that I believe is killing us is this thing I've got in my face right now that you've got in your face right now. It's that blue light. It's that blue light coming off of the phones and the overhead lights.
Yeah.
That's what's damaging us. And and this is why I'm fascinated with the vitiligo and melanoma. It's almost as if it is the body's way of moving melanocytes around. I think that the body does a very good job of moving them, and we don't realize it, to create melanin. Melanin is so unbelievably important and fascinating in that it absorbs light and produces energy. So, Bruce, something that and this was actually a talk with Dr. Boros that I heard. The retina has 10 layers. Okay. The eye has 10 layers, and the top 3 layers have blood vessels, whereas the bottom 7 do not. So the cones and rods, we're used with that, right? So how does something such as the cones and rods, that is one of the most metabolically demanding parts of our bodies, without blood flow, produce energy? It's one of the, if not the most densely melanated parts of the body. And so it takes in light, it separates basically, water and oxygen, and it produces energy without blood. And I also think that because of all the blue lights in our face and eyeballs and the lack of sunlight that actually charges the melanin, we are having blood vessels form. And this is where this whole cancer thing, the angiogenesis, right? New blood vessels are forming where it shouldn't be to get energy to the lower levels of the eye. And that's where we have things like our eye issues, right? What do we have? Macular degeneration popping up absolutely everywhere. And what that fundamentally is, in my layman understanding, is blood vessels are forming and it's destroying the eye in areas that it shouldn't be. So I said all that to say, if vitiligo and melanoma are the body's way of basically malfunctioning to move melanocytes, this could be a key fundamental understanding to overall health for everything.
Oh, yeah. And I tell you, that you shared with me just recently, it all gets down to light. And it's, yeah. Thank you so much for that for that rabbit hole to pursue. I can't wait to dive down into it. And the way I am with new subject matter like that, it takes so many readings and interpretations for me to get it, and sometimes I still don't get it, but I can get a lot of the key points, and that's why I love going to these conferences, because I can look at the charts and slides that they put up, and I know I'm not a clinician, and I'm a layperson, but I'm able to distill it down to points that make sense to me, and next time I go, I'll get a little bit more and a little bit more. I'm not that adept at teaching it. I can absorb it for myself and do some of the points, but this is a whole new thing for me with the light. I'd always seen when I started with the red light therapy 6-9 months ago, and because I had my background, I had a foundation of mitochondria. So it's like I knew mitochondria were and how they functioned, and cytochromes. That's light, and so it's coming together. So it's a great foundation that I'm building on. I'm excited to see where all this leads. Yeah,
I love it. I look forward to the continued conversations around that. So, Bruce, what's next? Where are you in your treatment phase? What's coming up, and what do you plan on doing?
So right now, I've completed my year of treatments. Like I said, 3 months in, stabilized. 6 months in, no evidence of disease, and that was in October. January was the same. Still continuing treatment to complete my year, and I just had my last scans 3 weeks ago, and it was still no evidence of disease. So I don't go back until July, and I'll continue eating this the way I am. I will say that I hadn't been fasting so much since my last treatment, and I want to get back doing that, just to maybe once a month do a 72-hour fast. And I just started one. I ate yesterday, so I'm going to go do 72 hours with this to see how I feel with it. It's really invigorating, and I challenge folks to go ahead and see what they can do to get some fasting in, because what it does for my brain, it just turns on electrons and less neurons. I mean, and it just feels good. The one negative is I enjoy cooking and putting meals together, so I have to find other things to do with that time to so that I'm not distracted so much. But yeah, so I'll continue to with this lifestyle, and don't expect any other flare-ups, but it's working too good for me. Like I said, it wouldn't be, I believe that it probably would have just been a hiccup had it not been discovered, maybe not even noticed. So I'm going to continue low carb, um, higher fat, and it's just a freedom I have with it. I don't have much. I don't feel restrained at all in my way of eating. It helps to have the whole household on board. I get that
Sure.
a lot of people
Sure.
with that are just doing it on their own. It'd be difficult to do it with just one person and all the others doing standard stuff. But yeah, it's a great path I'm on, so I don't see it changing.
Well, go into a little bit of that, Bruce. What does your daily eating look like? What do you do? You know, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Do you have snacks? What's that eating window?
Yeah.
What does it look like for you in a day?
So in a day, uh, I'm not doing caffeine anymore, and that was really good. It was really starting to affect me, um, anxiousness and such. So I still do a warm beverage. I'll do a warm electrolyte drink. You know, just the ceremony of having that in the morning and waking
Yeah.
up. And I'll go and I do a bike ride. I was running before my diagnosis, but I need my spine to remineralize before I put some more pressure on that. So I'm doing the light weights at the gym, bicycle, just get out in the sunshine a lot, enjoying that. I would eat about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. That would be I'm doing one meal a day.
Okay.
Um, since I added lots of fat, it's hard to get it in the one meal. So I'll make fat bombs. But I do coconut oil, cocoa butter, and brown butter in proportion so it doesn't make a mess. I keep it in the refrigerator, but that's like 25 grams of fat right there. That really helps me reach it.
Yeah.
And I tell you, I could do those in 30 minutes, an hour later. I could check my ketones, and it would be 1.5 or so. Um, I was doing exogenous ketones, for instance, in that morning drink, but I don't think I need to do that anymore because I'm producing them fine and staying pretty close to the therapeutic levels of ketosis. So I'll have like a pound or so of meat, some eggs, and I'm full. Fish, shrimp, anything that's lacking fat, I'll add fat to it, whether it be butter or those bombs, and I'm fine. Sometimes I'll have a snack in the evening. I've been on this gig of doing these egg custards with
Mm.
coconut milk and egg, and they're really good and satisfying. I do use sweeteners. I'll use monk fruit or stevia, and I don't notice a jump in blood sugar, and I'm fine with that. Um,
Bruce, how are
but
you monitoring blood sugar? Are you wearing like levels, or are you just doing finger
no,
sticks, or what are you doing?
I'm doing finger sticks, yeah, with the Keto Mojo, and I've really backed off of it now that I'm not doing treatment anymore. I'll do in the morning and before my meal, and I'm doing fine. I did notice this morning that for whatever reason, I think my cortisol was up. My blood sugar was over 100, and ketones were like zero point 0.3. So, I was planning on starting my fast today, so things will get back in line with that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, going back to that whole light conversation, it's fascinating and it's well established. I don't know why we don't ever talk about it. That the blue lights actually raise blood sugar, and then the red lights will lower blood sugar. I mean, it's you know that it is what it is.
Yeah,
So it goes deeper than simply nutrition, and that's what's been so mind blowing for me over the last probably about 18 months that I've been more into that quantum aspect of trying to understand health and Man, the light is just epically important. And if you've been tracking blood sugar, another thing that raises it that we don't pay enough attention to is stress. You can not eat anything, get stressed to the max, and your blood sugar jumps up. And so,
Listen, I got it, that illustration in a big way when I've only worn CGM, continuous glucose monitor, I think once or twice. And during the week or 10 days that I had it on, I had a particularly emotionally stressful situation. And it was like I ate a dozen donuts. It
yeah,
was amazing. And sure, that fight or flight, they want to pump me in with some glucose so I can respond accordingly. And now that since we don't have those stress responses like we were wired for back in the day, we really don't need them. But
yeah,
to live in constant stress, I can certainly understand people that uh, having the stress and then
yeah.
eating to suppress the stress, frequently eating things that are high carb. That we've got so much type 2 diabetes and other related issues going on. Makes perfect
Absolutely.
sense.
Well, brother,
Yeah.
I really was excited to get with you because we can, talk to PhDs and doctors all the time, and sometimes we really need to just connect to a regular person that's living this experience. It may
Yeah.
be a little bit different for all of us, right? Whether it's a loved one, it's ourselves, it's however it is, but just to get that experience, because I don't think there's enough people that are talking about cancer in this way, in the way that we're having a conversation from people that are living it, and not just trying to sell something or push a
Yeah.
some dogma or a paradigm that they are trying to to prove to themselves. But man, Bruce, thank you for the Facebook group. Talk about that as we jump off here on where people can learn more about you, follow along with your story and what you're doing.
Sure. Yeah. The Facebook group I started coming on 2 years ago. August would be 2 years. And it started because Buzz and I were going to all of these conferences. We're kind of like tactile. We've got to be face to face with these presenters, these professionals, and to get it right there. And I encourage any of the viewers out there, if there's something going on in your area or not, make the trip to go and listen. I mean, the people that we've met, the friendships that we've made, the it goes so far beyond reading books and watching YouTube. Which, by the way, that's a great way to get stuff, and that's how I started. But to have it finally sink in with having these presenters there, and see, I'm a layperson, and I go to a lot of these events that are all CME credits and way over my pay grade, but I'm able to discern and go up after and ask questions and meet the folks. I can't stress it enough for people to do that. So we started the Facebook page with that in mind to let people know what we were up to, and here's the Facebook group was to kind of be point directions for folks, and you want to know about this, go here. And in October last year, up until October last year, I kept the cancer diagnosis to myself. And for the most part, a lot of the close people were aware of it. And for a couple of reasons, the main one being that I have to be careful what I share, because the energy that comes back to me from, oh, I'm so sorry. It's like, I don't need that. It doesn't do me any good, and serves no purpose. October, when I got my no evidence of disease, is when I changed the group to B&B keto, carnivore, and cancer. I had cancer to it. And that's when I really started getting active and getting a lot of activity in the group. I think the cancer word in the algorithms really caused people to find me that way.
Right.
It's a difficult Facebook page to find because it's the bee emoji, so they have to type that in and get it. And I don't know if I sent that to you, but I've got this for folks to scan. I think I sent it to you as well.
Awesome.
And that's how they can land right on the page. And it's a big responsibility. I get a lot of people in there that, okay, I've got cancer. What can I do? And I've got some pinned notes on top of the page with just a slew of links, because that's what I do is I point directions. I don't offer advice. I offer to folks what I do and what's been helpful for me. But it's a big responsibility that's really humbling. And I've had to be careful of what I share and what I say. And it's just, look, this is what's helped me. And hopefully you do it. So, yeah, that's where I'm going with it. Personal Facebook has taken a sidetrack. A little bit on Twitter. I use Twitter to lurk, and a lot of the great minds out there, I see what they have to say and kind of share their stuff via the Facebook page. I know it's like old school Facebook, but that's where I am now doing that, and it's working for me.
I love it. I love it. We'll keep doing what you're doing. That's right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. But just keep it up, my friend. And we'll just keep plugging along. Look forward to just having the continued conversations and just learning and all together.
Yeah. I'm happy to share anytime. It's good stuff. And it's what keeps me going.
There we go. Well, thank you, my friend. Thank you for joining us on Sowing Prosperity. Be sure to follow along across the social media platforms, including YouTube, and be sure to go to sowingprosperity.com.